There's a law in economics called the law of supply and demand. If the supply of something increases but the demand stays the same, then the value of that thing drops. And besides economics, unfortunately, the world of education is witnessing this law as well. I believe that we're in the golden age of self-education. We've come a long way in making academic resources as accessible as possible to as much of the population as possible. Almost any book, article, clipping, or quote can be found in various formats just a few Google searches and clicks away. You can even find PDFs of books written and published centuries ago, and for free. But with all this convenience, we've come to notice there's a cost. We as a society have somewhat devalued education and knowledge as a whole. There are groups of people who capitalize on the story of how this man dropped out of college and still ended up successful, ignoring the fact that that man probably had the funds, opportunities, tools, and smarts to build their empire from the get-go. Groups of people who flaunt their G's for SPM and call a university degree quote-unquote just a piece of paper. If we take a look at our late scholars, right, the giants whose shoulders we stand on, their pursuits of knowledge alone are testament to just how much they valued it. Extremely strict teachers, traveling across countries, sometimes with little to no food and water, tools and money. Imam Shafi'i didn't even have money for stationery, forcing him to commit everything he hears and sees to memory. And if we hear what these brilliant minds said about learning, i.e. their quotes about learning, we see just how passionate they were and how priceless they painted knowledge to be. In 2020, about 31% of SPM leavers had no interest in pursuing higher education. In 2021, that number rose to almost 50%. One of their main reasons of disinterest, they want to start a business immediately or become social media influencers. And there's nothing wrong with being businessmen or businesswomen or influencers, but without higher education, I don't know about you, but it doesn't really sit right with me. And it's 2023 now, who knows? Maybe more than half of the youth don't believe in the importance of education anymore. Meaning, if you take 10 random SPM leavers and you put them in a room, the chances of 5 or maybe 6 of them being uninterested to pursue higher education and wanting to immediately start a business are really high. The chances are really high. You'd be surprised. And that's alarming if you put it into perspective. Only probably 4 out of 10 SPM leavers have intentions of pursuing higher education. Circling back to my initial point, if anything, knowledge and education should be much more appreciated today than ever. With how accessible resources are and how easy it is to learn, education should be approached much more enthusiastically. But instead, it seems like we're almost allowing the law of supply and demand to consume the very idea of education.